Hi everyone. So today I'm going to connect to the dataset and I will show you how it appears onto the Tableau once we upload the data. How do we create the sheets and what does it mean to drag the fields to the rows or columns. Okay. I selected a very simple data set just to demonstrate the initial steps. But as we go, I'll be adding bigger data sets so that we can come up with creative visualizations to come up with the story that will show us the insights of the data. Okay, so as I said yesterday, we'll be using create a viz. When we do that, it will take us to the Tableau dashboard, but this is how it looks. And as I said yesterday, we click data, we click new data source, and then it asks us to upload the data. For all the newbies who are pretty new to data analytics field, you have to get a data set and save it somewhere on your computer so that you can connect it to the Tableau. I will put the instructions on the data set so that you can upload it somewhere on your computer and connect it to the dashboard. Okay, so you can either drag or drop, but I usually prefer uploading it from computer. When you click this, it will take us to the window that has all the data. Let's say newbies, to avoid any confusion, just click, save it somewhere on your desktop so that it's easy for you to find the data set. Okay, so I'm using a temperature data set and it basically has all the temperatures of different cities. And what we are going to do is initially we want to see how each city shows the temperature per month or over the years, basically a time series graphs. So we'll first explore that, but later on we'll move on to bigger data sets too. It takes a little bit of time to upload the data, so we have to be patient. Once it uploads, you see everything is blank here right now, but you'll be able to see some fields, some column names basically. Okay. Oh, what happened here? This is nothing. It's just asking us to confirm that everything is good. Whenever we have our data set somewhere, it just shows the sheet, but then it goes back to the connection. So this is called connections. So all those newbies who are confused about what you're seeing here, I'm going to go on and explain each and every piece of it so that it's not overwhelming for you guys. Okay, so connections. For any tool, let it be Tableau or Excel, they, the guys who kind of create these tools, they create it to make sure you understand everything. So if it says connections, that means it's the data connection. And if it says publish, that means you have to publish the dashboard. So it's pretty intuitive, but again, it might be overwhelming to look at everything at once. So the connections is where it tells us, oh, this is where you went and got the data. If you see this, there's a small arrow mark here. You can click this and you can do edit connection. When you edit the connection, it'll again take you back to the original place where you uploaded the data. We don't want to do that now, but this is where you kind of can upload a new sheet or add a new sheet to your current dashboard. Okay, your new sheet also appears here. Let's say for some reason you got super confused and you wanted to do something here, but you clicked on remove. So it's gone. Nothing to worry. You can just drag it from here and then put it here. It's still there. Okay. I will talk to you guys about extract a little bit later, but what is happening right now is you're just connecting it to a data set. It's not loaded to the Tableau server yet. It doesn't sit in Tableau yet. It's still in your computer. So whatever calculations you do or whatever visualizations you create, it is coming from, the data is taken from the CSV file. But when you do the extract, Tableau actually makes a copy of your file and places it in its server. In that way, you can either, you can make your visualizations or calculation fields faster, or you can also send it to someone and it just packages up everything. Like it packages up the data set, the visualization, the dashboard, and everything. Okay. So if you see here, these are all the fields that are existing in the CSV file. Pretty much same here. It just tells you where is the table, and then the field name and all that stuff. Okay, nothing to worry about here. This is just like where we kind of connect the data. Okay, I will also talk later about new union or adding new data sets, connecting new data sets, but that's for later. Let's go step by step. Okay, now sheet 1, do you guys see sheet 1 here? This is where your data, you can see actual data. So click here, and then it is actually creating it. I think it's creating a extract. So as I said, it's creating a copy so that it's not connected, or it is not dependent on the Excel file or CSV file on your computer. It'll take a little bit of time. Be patient. Okay, be good. So now if you see, it moved on to a sheet 1. Okay, I'll explain what you're seeing right now. All the field names or all the column names are here. Okay, so the data set has country, state, city. It has the day of the temperature, the month of the temperature, the region, the year. So these are like the column names that you can see. If at all you have some values, that shows up here. Like let's say if you also have a household income, average household income, or weight of a person, or revenue generated, and all that stuff, the numbers, they show up below. Okay. The latitude and longitude is nothing but whenever your data set includes some sort of region or city or zip code, it automatically creates a latitude and longitude for you based on the name of the city or the name of the state, so that you can create a map out of it. Okay, and here we discussed this a little bit yesterday. This is where you can select different visualizations, and you can add different colors, add different shapes and sizes. We'll go through this one by one. The other thing that I want to also show you is the show me. This is similar to Marks, but it's more like visual. Basically, it kind of like shows you all the different visualizations that you can select. Right now it's grayed out because I did not pull in any data, but once I do it, it kind of like will show you the visualizations that we can do. Okay, so let me just do a very simple visualization here. So you do rows and columns, and I'll tell you what happens when we do that, but it's super simple. Let's say I'm just going with country, just to keep it simple. Okay, I can either put it in rows or columns, and I'll show you what happens when I do both. Okay, so I put it in rows, so it shows all the country names in the row format, and if I put it in the columns, it'll just shift it to column format. Super simple. Okay, just to be clear, I just want to put it as country, so I'm going to use country. Okay, and let's say if I want to put the average temperature for each country, I will drag this and put it onto the text. Do you see this text here? You have to drag it and put it on the text column. What doesn't make sense is adding up all the temperatures. It doesn't make much sense because we want to see what is the average temperature of a country, right? So let's not sum it. We have an option to average it. So you click on this arrow mark here, and you see all different options here. Show filter, include tooltip. I will go over all those, but what we need here is measure. When you hover over the measure, and for the newbies, hover over is nothing but going on to that particular term, and then like when you put your browser on that particular term, you go to right. Instead of sum, you select an average and everything changes to average. So this is the average temperature for each of these countries. But again, we want it for a certain year, I guess, right? We don't want to like average of all the years so far, correct? So let's do it. Let's put it here, and so it shows as the temperature for, hang on one second, 2017, 14, okay, hang on. So let's make it, this is in the number format, that's where it was messed up. So good learning here. We don't want it to be in a number format. Year is not a number, right? It's a date. It should be in a date format. So for that, we again go down here, change it to the change data type to a date so that it makes sense, right? And now if you drag, I think it'll create something better. Okay, so it's giving all different values here. Mostly doesn't make sense to you right now, but I'll show you what will make sense. Okay, so if we look at all the years, it's super confusing because we are trying to put everything in together. Let's do one thing. Let's kind of like just select one particular year so that we can see average temperature for that specific year. Okay, in order to do that, what you can do is you can, instead of putting it in the columns, we can drag it to something called filters. It will just add a filter to your visualization. Okay, as soon as you do that, it's gonna create it's going to show you a small pop-up window that is asking you, what do you want to filter it on? And because it's years, we'll click on years, and I'll show you what all these terms mean too in our next sessions. But just click on years now and click next, and I'll say, okay, which year do you want? Just select one year from this. I'll probably select the recent year because that's more interesting. You can either click on apply or you can click on OK. It works either way. Okay, so click OK. This makes sense. Now it's gonna show up the year 2020 average temperature for each country. Okay, so this is how, and this is like a table format right now. Okay, now let's say if we want to create a bar graph out of it, all you need to do is, instead of putting in the text here, you drag it to columns, and it automatically assumes that you want to create a bar graph. And that's like a default property of Tableau. It just kind of assumes something is like either, like bar graph or line graph, and it just shows it to you, but you can change it later. Right now it's showing as the bar graph. And though this is too long for us to kind of understand, trying to see all these things, but it just helps us to just, it's not that hard to create a visualization in Tableau, right? Now, if you are a data analyst and you show this to your manager, he'll probably not be very impressed because you're just dumping all the country's information to him. It doesn't make sense. What he might be interested in is, how do we get like top countries with the highest temperature and stuff? And that's what we are going to learn in our next session, which is called a sort function, which is basically we are either sorting the data from high to low or low to high so that it makes more meaningful, for your manager or the stakeholder to look at the data. Just sending this is particularly not going to help him do anything with this particular data set. But for now, you guys can just follow these instructions and try to create this simple visualization. And do let me know how it goes, and if it's confusing or if you guys are stuck or something like that, okay? I'm going to add the link to the data set so that you can upload it for all the new students or all the new someone who is doing a career change and whatnot. Try to keep it very simple. Don't create too many folders. Try to put it on your desktop. for first few weeks so that you can figure out where your data set is.